you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. What is today? Today is Friday. It's 3:00 p.m. Pacific time, and it's what we refer to as Career Happy Hour. Let me know where you're joining from. I'd love to hear what questions you have. Let me put up the request here. Put your questions in the chat. I'd love to answer any questions you might have about networking, interviewing, market planning, resume, LinkedIn profile, whatever you want to talk about relating to career. I'm here available to answer any questions that you have. Just put them in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me okay too. Sometimes I come on these streams and I think people can hear me. Good. Thank you, Vimal. Thank you. So if that's you, just let me know where you're joining from in the chat. Also, if you're interested, there is a link in the description. If you want to come on live, I'm happy to give you hands-on coaching live today, right now. This may not seem live, but it's actually live. It's 3 p.m. Pacific time, Portland, Oregon, October 30th. Happy Halloween, everybody. Tomorrow, at least. Full moon. I know that's going on. And we've been talking, at least in the last few sessions, about this person a day challenge. So let me know where you're at with your 1 person a day challenge that you're going to reach out to and have a conversation verbally or over a Zoom, whatever that looks like. Let me know where you are against your benchmarks. Jonathan, good to see you. And happy to have all of you. I have some thoughts rolling around in my head, and some interesting things have happened this week through LinkedIn that I wanted to share that you may not be aware of. There's some exceptional resources that I'll probably reveal to you for the first time that you didn't know were out there. So the topic really today is relating to career change. Are you changing careers? Are you considering changing careers? That might be something up for discussion today. If you're interested in that, let me know in the chat. Now, I have been still, to be honest, wrestling with this camera and the lighting and the exposure and everything. So please, if you could, bear with me. I'm trying to work it as best I can so that you can feel like this is a quality presentation for everybody. So let me know where you're joining from, what questions you have, put those in the chat. Happy to answer. 0 for 1. Interesting. 0 for 1. Well, that's just today. Tomorrow is a new day. And it's still light outside, so you still have a chance of actually meeting somebody. Could you have a conversation with 1 person today? Yes. Will you is another question. Will you let the sun go down without having a conversation with 1 new person? Now, I had to take that challenge, and I had to reach out to a couple people right before the session last week. Now, I meet with a lot of new people, so I'm not in a position where, it's so funny how we lean toward excuses. But, I said I was going to take this challenge with you, and I have to apologize. I don't think I've been deliberate in my outreach to people, but I have met new people and I have supported people. But have I done things proactively, deliberately to help myself? Maybe not. Maybe what I'm doing is good enough. I really don't know. So I'll continue on. I'll continue doing my best to try to make a difference here or there. So that said, let's jump into, I just wanted to show you something really quickly, if that's okay, that I got from LinkedIn off of their blog today. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen, if that's okay with y'all. Let me do that here. And I think what you'll see, let me see. I think this is the way it works. There it goes. Hey, I did it. First try. Hopefully you see that. Let me get rid of the the captions here. My apologies. It's one of the limitations, I suppose, of having this streaming service do this for me. But I saw this headline that came out on the LinkedIn blog. Looks like it came out on Wednesday. And I looked at it and I said, okay, well, yeah, I know LinkedIn's been helping people try to get back to work. They've been publishing almost daily some sort of list of people that are hiring now. And, they're offering the, open to work hashtag and all of that. I get it. They're trying to do their best to support the members of the people on the platform, all 690 million plus accounts. Okay. And so actually, excuse me, 722 million people worldwide. I guess I had that just a little bit wrong. So there are almost 3/4 of a billion people on this platform. That's a lot of people. Okay. And they're actually working to add more every second, like 2 people every second, I think, is something that's coming onto LinkedIn. But this isn't what was intriguing to me. What was intriguing to me is, as I scroll down here, is this idea of discovering new career paths and how to get there. Now, why did that intrigue me? Because I've actually executed a lot of career changes in my life, and I found this really compelling, that they actually had things here around retooling, reskilling, and more importantly, career exploration. Now, this is the section that I found really compelling, is that they were talking about job transitions, where I could look at a specific title and look at how it extrapolates to other titles. I found this really compelling. And so I decided, hey, let's take a peek and see what this is all about. So how do I go ahead and find skills, okay, based on what I've already got? So I can come through here and say, all right, actually I could skip through this. I can explore skills on my own. So let's do that. So I'm in Portland, Oregon. Excuse me. Let me select Portland, Oregon. And this is great. So I can put in here human resources. Well, what was it? Talent management, I think. Director of Talent Management. There we go. Okay. So I could put that in here, and Director of Talent Management. Now they're showing 9 job matches in the United States where they have skill overlap, skills to build, and popularity. This is huge. In my mind, this is huge. So if you ever thought that you were tied to a job title, this totally breaks that mold. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I need to look at some other titles and skills that are translatable. Okay. So that's one way to do it. Now you could do it the other way, where you had a skill. Okay. Let me go back up here. Sorry about that. This is going to be right. So where I had a skill, and it's going to show me the ones that are extrapolated. So LinkedIn has actually done a lot of quality work around skills. So for me, what is this telling me? This is telling me that if I don't have some good skills that are transferable on my profile, LinkedIn is using this as machine learning, artificial intelligence to extrapolate my profile to other job titles. Okay. So that means I can find, you see how it did that? Let me go back. Okay. It picked the ones, it showed which ones overlapped. And then, it says, hey, that equates to a salesperson. So I find it fascinating. I find it really, really fascinating. So let me take a look at executive search interviewing. Let me look at some of these skills and see what happens when I click on them. Sourcing, employer branding. Let's go with that one. What does that show me? Oh, it takes me to LinkedIn Learning. Okay, so I can see why they're doing this. So it takes me to LinkedIn Learning, but here's what it's telling me, is that they're saying, hey, if you want to up-level this particular skill, go to LinkedIn Learning, take a class. So they're trying to use this data to get people to sign up for and procure premium service. It makes sense to me, okay? But this is something you may want to check out, because now it's showing me jobs, and it's showing me connections on LinkedIn, okay? So I just found this really compelling and interesting. And if you're in, if you want to do that, what is this? This is on GitHub. Now, remember, Microsoft owns LinkedIn. Microsoft owns GitHub, okay? So just remember that when you come to this website, I'll put it in the chat for you so you can check it out, that it will be overlapped that way. So I know this kind of data is available to people who are already maybe LinkedIn premium users of their talent products there on the platform. But it's something really to think about. something to think about, that if I'm looking for a way to translate my skills to something else, this is giving me a way to do that. Okay. So let's see. Is there any questions in the chat? I'm going to get to career change here in a second, but good. Craig's got a question. Are there job search companies to avoid? I don't know what that means. What do you mean by job search companies to avoid? Engaged searches. I receive so many, want to use my time effect. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But there are search firms. There's third-party recruitment firms, and Terry could probably validate this. Third-party search firms that their job every day is to find quality talent to place at their companies that they're working with. Okay. Good. Excellent. So let me share this in the chat with y'all on LinkedIn, because it's not connected to my chat. I'm going to mute the site here. Good. I'll put that GitHub link in the chat. So yeah, I find it a very compelling and interesting service by LinkedIn, who typically doesn't give you anything for free. They're looking for ways to monetize. And so I can see they're trying to validate and continue to validate their LinkedIn premium service by forwarding you to other areas of their platform. So take a look at that. Let me know your thoughts. And let's see. Yep, it's very compelling. I think you should look at it and maybe see what you can extrapolate, because they're providing it to you for free. Typically, that's something that LinkedIn would have behind a paywall. So I received job opportunities from JobHat. I'm not even sure what JobHat is. So maybe someone else can help me out. How did they get your information? That's the bigger question. We need to be really cautious as job seekers about divulging personal, private information to others through some kind of platform. So if that's you, then hey, I understand that you are interested in finding opportunities, and most people are. Let's be clear that you should protect yourself and your private information. That means having your email that's connected to your resume or your LinkedIn profile. That's not the same email you use to log into your brokerage accounts or any of your financial assets. It just doesn't make, it makes logical sense to have your email be something different for those accounts than the ones you use for your job search. Okay. Good. So I want to talk through some ideas, some thoughts about career change. Now, again, if you want to come on and get live coaching by me, you can just click the link in the description if you like. There's a link there that says come on live with me right now. And you could click that and you'd come right to the front of the line, and you'd be able to get some support from me on anything that you might be wrestling with. So if that's you, please, by all means, come on live. So the thoughts I had were related to career change. And what do I mean by that? Well, I've made several career changes during my tenure on this earth. And I could start listing out all the different job titles I've had in the past. Most of those, though, have come from something like, I don't know. Well, that's weird. Excuse me. Sorry, I must have hit something on the. I've got a new monitor set up, folks, so I apologize if I'm distracted. But a browser window just opened because I hit something on my monitors, or top and bottom. Anyway, long story short, I could list all of the titles that I've had in the past, and it's a long list. But generally speaking, if I look at what I started with, it would be pre-career, post. And so pre-career, I mean like before college. So up and through college and then post-college. So pre-career, I did a lot of different things just to pay my way through school. And then after college, that's when I figured my career started. And from there, I actually started in distribution. By that, I mean, I worked in a distribution center for an apparel manufacturer. What did I do there? Well, I worked in the claims and returns department. I was kind of like a coordinator of the department, assistant manager, supervisor, whatever you want to call that. That was my first job out of college. But I didn't want to stay there. I always thought, I really love sales, and my mom was in sales, and I thought, I want to give this sales thing a shot. It's an opportunity to have typically a high earning potential. The capacity to market and sell things to other people is probably the number one transferable skill in the world, is the capacity to sell things. And now that doesn't mean I have to be in sales to sell. And I realize that now. But when I was looking at that and saying, okay, although I love sales, the art of selling, there's certain parts of every job I've had, and I'm sure you could agree with this, that just weren't that pleasing. Like, I didn't mind prospecting, but, doing it every day was kind of a drag. I didn't mind it, but doing it every day, that was a drag. Being held to a quota, I didn't mind that. But I love learning. And so what I missed was the capacity to have somebody mentor me or counsel me or guide me along. So there's lots of things in every job, I'm sure you can imagine, that are good and some that are not so good. And as I went through my career, what I found was I really loved meeting people and learning about them and where they come from. So that to me was part of what I loved. And so when I looked at a point in my career where I'd looked at sales and been in it for so long, I asked myself, what do I love doing and what would be better than what I have now? And that's where career changers sometimes get off track, is they think, oh, I need to go this direction because that's what the market says. And not that we shouldn't pay attention to the market, but making decisions solely based on what the market says, I don't know if that's really wise. It's not coming from a place of wisdom. Place of wisdom says, hey, what do I have now that's good and that I enjoy? And what is my motivation for changing careers? Is it because of the marketplace, or, I've been transitioned out of something else because of a layoff? That means my skills are not valuable. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Just because you were transitioned out because of a layoff doesn't mean your skills aren't valuable. It just means that, hey, your skills need to be used somewhere else in a different capacity. Not that those skills were not valuable, because guess what? The company you just came from paid you to do that work. That means it had value. It had value. Okay. So that's the other thing. So understand what you love about what you do and understand your motivation to change careers. For me, it was looking at sales, and, I love learning about people, what makes them tick, and how to get them to make decisions. That part that part I loved. And in a lot of ways, I started realizing that that's actually coaching. Coaching is understanding people, know what makes them tick, and how do they make decisions? How to get them to make decisions that are for their own benefit. So I decided to take my sales career and use it differently. Use it as a way to sell people on themselves to make their lives, careers, situation better. And that's the work I love to do. I also can't abide people in pain because I've been through the pain and I know what it's like to be transitioned from a job, get fired, laid off. I've been through all of those experiences, and it sucks. I don't wish it on anybody, but because I went through that, I don't like to see others struggle with that experience. I like to help them mitigate the process. And often people will say something to me like, oh, well, you're being gruff or arrogant. I look at it as being pragmatic and preventing you from making a mistake that might cost you. Okay. So that's the perspective I come from. And my intent is not to demean people or to be curt or short. It's to offer you a different perspective and to perhaps give you some hope and or some tough love. So that's how I appreciate that. So what are the kind of the decision points or the ideas or the steps I would take if I was going to change careers? Well, I would look at what I love doing now. Okay. What do I love doing now? Regardless of where I did it or what the job title is, what are the skills you love using? What are the experiences you like having? look at your past, and certainly that can extrapolate to your future. It's just deciding what that looks like, and we'll get to that. The second part is understand your motivation for changing careers. What is that driven by? That's the second thing. We talked about that. Then it's a matter of saying, hey, where else does this work? Where else does this work? And if you start thinking through that process, you can start identifying different titles. And LinkedIn has beautifully done that for us through that GitHub link that I just put in the chat, that they can extrapolate now your skills and strengths to something else. That's why it's important you get your skills and strengths ironed out on your LinkedIn profile, so that that's going to offer you something to investigate. Now, it's not saying, hey, I have to go do this now because that's what LinkedIn said. No, it's saying, this is something I need to investigate. I should investigate this. And here's what I want to do in that space. Here's how I want to take these skills to that space. Okay. And once you identify what that space is, now what do I need to do? I need to translate. I need to interpret my experience that maybe was sales and that sort of thing, negotiations, all these skills around sales. I've got those in spades. I don't need them on my profile anymore. But what do I need on my profile that would extrapolate? Well, it would be coaching and training and building, instructional designs, right? The different things that are related to the stuff that I'm doing now, because it does translate. So what I'm suggesting is you need to translate whatever you have to the other thing in a language that the people of that audience will understand. Not only in terms of keywords, but also in terms of how you present yourself. Because I may say, negotiate and prospect and all these different things. People are like, prospect? What the heck is that? Lead generation, what is that? How does that extrapolate to job search? Well, it does. Guess what we're doing? We're actually having a person a day challenge. Have you taken that challenge? Could you talk to one new person a day? Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. Everybody could possibly meet and talk to one new person today. The sun has not gone down yet. It hasn't turned midnight. We got daylight savings coming, right? There's a lot of stuff going on, but yes, you could meet one person today. One person today. So that's what we're talking about, though, career change. Now, once you've identified what you love doing, understand your motivation on why you want to change careers, and you find a place that works and you've translated as best you can to that marketplace, it's time to go to market. What does that mean? Well, all roads, I think, it's so funny. Somebody said in a session this week, the answer to every question Andrew poses is connection. And that's true. Where can you find out what you love to do? By networking with people that you know and connecting with them and having that conversation about how you work together and what did you appreciate about that person, and maybe they'll reflect that back to you. Okay. Maybe I'm trying to extrapolate to a new industry and I don't know anybody in that industry. And so I reach out and connect with somebody in my new industry to say, hey, I've got this experience and I'm trying to translate. Can you help me? Can you provide me support, advice, connection to people? Absolutely. Perspective, suggestion, right? There's a lot of reasons, a lot of ways you can ask for help without saying the word help. Okay. Now, by the way, if you're just joining us, you can come on live and get some questions answered. This is called Career Happy Hour. Now, I do have to advise, this is me. This is my live stream, and I don't represent a company. So the views that I hold and the opinions I give today during the live stream are my own. Okay. So it occurred to me that might be an area of confusion based on some of the things I've heard the last couple of weeks. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. If someone comes in here or is asking questions, that's the perspective is my own. Okay. Good. Looks like we have a number of questions here. And I think I see Linda in the waiting room here. So I'll get to you in a second here, Linda. But what I do want you to know is that if you are in the waiting room, just make sure you close your other tabs. If you're in the Restream waiting room, because what will happen is we'll get an echo. There'll be a delay and we'll get some reverb. Okay. Let's see. Praveen, in last 1 week after you reviewed my LinkedIn profile, see very good increase in visitors. So it wasn't the advice that I gave, Praveen. It was the fact that you took the advice and you applied it. That was the key. The key wasn't the advice. You could have gotten that advice from anybody. The key was you acted on the advice and made the adjustment. Good on you. Congratulations. I'm glad to see you got results. So that's awesome. It's good that you discovered this about yourself. I can readily see that you love to serve people. You like to, yep, absolutely. You hit it on the head. So I appreciate that. Okay. Excellent. Well, let's see what Linda has to say, shall we? Okay, Linda, let's come on and see what you have to say.
Hi. Well, first one I've joined. I've noticed that you've been doing these chats. So thanks for setting it up.
Yeah, you bet. What's on your mind? What question do you have?
So my question is my business card.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I've got like at least 12 different skill sets. And I'm thinking, how do I pick my top 3? Or can I put something as long as tact? That's my leadership skills.
Okay. Can I ask you some questions first, Linda?
Sure.
Just to understand. What are you hoping a business card will do for you?
Because I've been told that I should have a business card. So when I'm not on Zoom meetings, if we ever get back to a networking type of event, that I could pass them out.
Okay. And so again, so you pass it out. What is the outcome you're looking for from passing that out?
That someone would remember me. And so when they get my, let's say, LinkedIn, invite, is like, oh yeah, I remember meeting that lady.
Okay. And that's certainly something that can work. However, can I make an observation I think might be helpful?
Yes.
By having a business card, it really provides you an opportunity for mutual exchange. What does that mean? If I hand a card to somebody and I say, let's exchange cards, what do they feel obligated to do?
To hand you a card.
Okay. Now I've got their card. They've got mine. Who's now in control of the follow-up?
I am.
Okay. And if you're in control of the follow-up, you can now say, okay, what is my next step with this person? Do I want to incubate a relationship with them or not? Right? And just because they have my card doesn't mean they're going to remember me. It might be in their hand long enough to go to the recycle bin. Okay. So the idea behind the card and the biggest benefit of having one isn't that you have one, it's that you get their card.
Get one in return. Okay.
Mutual exchange. Okay. Now, if they don't have one, just make sure you have the type you can write on the back. Okay. So don't get the glossy kinds. Okay. And make sure you can write on it, because you may have to hand it to somebody and just say, hey, you know what? I realize you don't have a card. Just go ahead and write your information on the back of this one.
Okay.
That'd be easy. I don't like handing somebody my phone. That's a little too sensitive. Okay. Right. If you're going to exchange cards, that's fine. But anytime you introduce a device, it's problematic. It changes the tenor of any conversation. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Okay. So now it means that whatever goes on the card is less relevant, isn't it? Not that it isn't important, but it's less relevant.
It is. Okay. It is.
So what would I put on there? What do you love to do more than anything?
I'd love to help other people.
Okay. In what way?
Well, like I said, so now I'm going to go look at my skill list and tell you that I'm innovative, I'm collaborative, I can, use all the adjectives.
Okay. So it says transformation program manager on your byline there.
Right.
Okay. That would go on your card, right?
Yes, that would go on my card.
Okay. So professionally speaking, what do you love about that kind of work?
I love to collaborate and being innovative with others.
Okay. So you love the team approach.
Yes.
What role do you play on the team?
I'm usually the leader of the team.
Okay. So you love leading teams.
Yes.
So would leadership or some form of leadership be on your card?
I
say yes.
I don't have that. Yes.
Right. So leading teams to do something, right? Leading teams through transformation.
Right.
Right. So you can even come up with a catchy slogan. And the cool part is some of these cards are so cheap that if you get it wrong or you want to change it, just recycle the old ones and get some new ones.
Okay.
I think the ones at what is that?
Vistaprint or whatever.
Vistaprint, yeah. What is it, like $10 or it's so cheap that you could get a new set if you don't like the ones you got.
Okay,
it's not like a tattoo, Linda. Okay.
I like the rub up kind. But can I practice my not my branding statement, but it's my leadership style that goes along with it, and it's tact, TACT. I take risks, I ask questions, I show confidence, and I thank others.
Okay,
that's what I do.
Okay, so what I would write on the back of every card when you hand it to somebody, ask me about tact.
Thank you.
And write it like an acronym. Wow, I got this card from some strange lady named Linda. Why does it say ask me about tact on the back? Just
and if they go to my profile, they'll see it.
Well, yeah, or they can reach out to you and look at your profile or have a conversation with you. I want to talk to you about that tact thing.
Love it.
Not that they're going to do that, but it's higher probability they will.
Okay.
Does that help, Linda?
Yes, it does.
Good. Anything else I can do for you today?
Thanks for letting me be live.
Linda, here's what I'm going to ask you to do, please.
What?
Put your LinkedIn profile address in the chat. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We are an open community. People will reach out and want to have conversation with you. Is that okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. So everybody, I encourage you to connect with Linda and ask her for your meeting so that you can execute your one person a day. One new person a day. Can you do it, Linda? That's the challenge.
Yes, I can.
But will you? That's the bigger question. We'll see next week, right?
I've been pretty good with the challenges you gave me. I'm not quite, I still need 50 more people, so.
You'll get there. You'll get there. All right, Linda, thanks for coming in. Have a good weekend. Happy Halloween if you celebrate. All right, take care. Linda, everybody. Hey, good to have you. So if you want to come on like Linda, this is available to you. You can get your questions answered just like Linda did. So happy to do that. Okay. You're welcome. Excellent, Teresa. Thank you. Putting your thing in the chat. Let's see. Question for Linda. Does change management hit the mark for Linda? See, now so here's the key. Don't take anything right or wrong from this. What we're hearing here is what other people think you do. And sometimes that's valid. So if you're miscommunicating yourself, this is validating evidence. So don't take it as right or wrong. Just say, okay, data point. What do I need to adjust in order to communicate much better my skills, expertise, and what I desire to do next? So professional communications. Good. All right. Thank you, Robert, for that contribution. So we've been talking about a number of different things. If you have questions, please, by all means, put your questions in the chat. Happy to answer. But if you could do me a favor, just right now, take 1 second and just click the share button on the video. In LinkedIn, there's a little share arrow thing. I think it's down at the bottom. Maybe it's, where is it? It's over here, I think. Just click that little share and share it out to your network and say, hey, every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, we have this thing going on. You're welcome to come here and get some feedback on a lot of different topics, Good. So the story was LinkedIn and that service they're putting together. The reason I think that's important to remember is another thing on here. It's hang on, let me see where it is. No, that's not it. So here it is. And LinkedIn is actually doubling down. And I wanted to show you guys this. So I'm gonna share my screen again because I thought it was really, really interesting. And I'm not quite sure what LinkedIn is attempting to do with this. Okay. So let's turn that on. Looks like I got it backwards. Let's go with this one. There we go. Okay. Now, you remember they're doing the work thing, right? The what do they call it? OpenToWork, right? The OpenToWork profile on your on your profile, right? And so they've gone a step further now. And even though you have the OpenToWork photo frame, and I don't advocate you have that, by the way. If you do have it, I would remove it, and you can do that on your profile. It's pretty easy. Just search in LinkedIn help and you can find it. But this one, I actually think is compelling. Why? Although, let me put it in an asterisk here. I believe that all companies are hiring. If we assume all companies are hiring, then hey, okay, I appreciate that. But sometimes you go to a LinkedIn profile and you don't see that's whether or not somebody is hiring. I'm going to assume everybody is. But here's the cool part, is that there's now a hiring photo frame, meaning I could put a little circle around my thing saying, I'm hiring, okay? So what does that mean? Well, it's an opportunity for you as a job seeker, okay, to see somebody that's hiring. Now, what does that mean? What are they saying when they put that up there? They're saying that they're actively looking for candidates, that they're willing to actually have you. Sorry about that. For some reason, I keep getting a browser window open up. I'll take care of that. They're demonstrating to you that they're open to hiring and that you should send them a message. Now, I'm sure everybody here is familiar with Open Profile on LinkedIn. You can send in-mails to hiring managers and recruiters who have this feature turned on. Look it up, okay? Look up in-mail Open Profile on LinkedIn help section, okay? And what that is that allows you to send hiring managers, recruiters, in-mails if they have this hiring thing on. Now, if I see a message button here and I can see that this person is hiring, this is an opportunity for me to actually access this person, all right? So why is that important? Well, now I can see all the roles that this person is hiring for, okay? So hiring, add free job posts, and the hiring photo frame to your profile, get started. They have a process for you to do that, okay? Now, there's another thing here on virtual interviews. LinkedIn for a long time has had different types of questions and answers support there. But I really find this interesting and compelling, this new photo frame, whereas the other one, OpenToWork, it's a little bit different. This person's already in a hiring role, so saying that I'm hiring is actually a good thing. And yes, would I follow that hashtag? Probably, especially if it relates to the type of roles or the companies I'm after, okay? So look out for that. That's coming now to a LinkedIn profile near you. And hopefully you found that useful. I think it's useful. Now, if you guys have any kind of ideas on things you want to cover, I'd really be interested to hear your perspectives on what sorts of things would you want us to do a deep dive on. Maybe go extra deep into a process or an idea or a topic. Is there any topic that you'd want to go deep on? Just let me know in the chat if you would, please. Okay. Let's see. Teresa, I had a job interview earlier this week. I was told the position would start in January if I got it. Would it be wrong to stop looking for a position that starts sooner? Yes. I would keep. Here's the thing. I'm not going to make a decision for you, but many of the people that I coach, I offer this one piece of advice. Never stop looking, ever. Never stop looking, ever. What does that mean? You should always be looking for the next thing for you, whatever that is. If it's retirement, great. What are you going to do in retirement? Always have something else going on. Okay. Always be interested in something else, even if what you have is perfect. Okay. Many of our candidates, the people we coach, when they come to me, they say, oh man, I don't think I'll ever find a job like the one I had. No, you'll actually find one better than the one you have. Trust me. But you have to always be looking for it. You have to be prepared with your resume, your LinkedIn profile, a cover letter, some sort of plan, call it whatever you want, a dream job description, a map, a career map. I mean, call it whatever you want. What would my advice be? If I wasn't starting till January, I'm not stopping looking ever. That means I could always find something better than that thing that starts in January, right? Of course. But if we have something and we think we have something, and then they pull that or they decide not to bring you on board, where are you at then? That's a long time. I mean, we're talking 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Did they offer you a signing bonus? And were they going to pay that signing bonus now so that you can have something to cover yourself for the next 8 weeks? Okay. So what does that mean? Before I accept any offer, I'm negotiating. I'm negotiating a salary. I'm negotiating a signing bonus, because guess what? If somebody's telling me I'm not starting till January, I'm going for a signing bonus. And that's going to be non-refundable, upfront, retainer kind of thing. Anyway, if you can get it. There's somebody in the chat here, Teresa, his name's Terry Smith. So if you go and seek out Terry Smith, he'd probably be a good resource for you to talk to about something like this, if you haven't talked to him yet, and if Terry is open to it. Okay. Question in the chat by Scott: is LinkedIn starting to use psychometrics? That link you posted looked like it. I don't know what that means. If you can give me a definition of what that is, I'd be happy to give you my perspective. But LinkedIn is very transparent on what they're doing. They always have been, and their behavior has been consistent since they founded the platform. Okay, which is unusual. Many social networks change and don't remain consistent in the foundational principles of their platform. So what does that mean? Well, look at things like, I don't know, MySpace. Not that I'm going to, disparage MySpace. It had its time in the sun, but they, sometimes your principles aren't aligned. And so the nice thing about LinkedIn is they've been consistent in their behavior. Their behavior has been, since their inception, we're going to offer a great service, and at some point we're going to monetize. Makes sense, right? So every time they add a new feature or provide you a new thing and it catches on, they then pull that behind their paywall. Okay. So they wait till they get critical mass in user volume, call that what you want, monthly active users or what have you, of that particular feature, and then they'll pull it back behind a paywall. So that they've been very consistent about that. So what is the paywall they're using now? Well, it's very clear to me that they moved from being a networking platform to being, they want to take over the HR function, right? They want to be the talent HR. They want to be all over that function. They want to own it. And how do I know that? Well, go back, and if you have time, look at the, what do they call it? LinkedIn Connect 2019. I don't think they had a LinkedIn Connect 2020. I'll have to go back and look at their YouTube channel. That's where they typically post things. But LinkedIn Connect, what they did is their roadmap and where they're headed. And it's all related to talent management, talent products. They're looking to take over more of the dollar spend in HR talent and technology. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, I don't know what that means, but if you can give me a definition on psychometrics, I would be happy to let you know. But the idea here is LinkedIn is looking to gather more of the share of wallet from HR, the HR spend, and to provide more services and more tightly connect that to the LinkedIn. So if you look, the other thing to look at is how are all of the Microsoft executives compensated? Go do some research on that, and I think you'll find some of the background there for sure. Let's see. Had a phone interview this week with, say, Tom and Jerry. Jerry set up the call. Once we started the call, both Tom and I asked each other, "Are you Tom Kevin, who I worked with 20 years ago?" And yes, we did. Isn't that great? Small world. Small world. Here's the thing. This is why we don't burn bridges, folks, is that you don't know if 20 years down the road in your career, not that, hopefully mine will go another 20, but you never know, that you'll run into somebody that you worked with way back when. It happens all the time. Ran into my first boss ever. She's working at a local company. We kind of moderately reconnected, but I would certainly like to reconnect with her because she was very instrumental. I thought she was a great boss. And I've had a lot of great leaders in my career. And I've had my fair share of the opposite. So I know the difference. Let's see. At least for me, from my perspective, based on my principles or my values, yes. Okay. Good. Yes, it's funny how the conversation goes much better when it's somebody you know, especially at an interview. So whether it's an interview or a networking conversation, aren't they just so much more organic, authentic, genuine if it's somebody you know? Yeah. So if you're doing the person a day challenge, and I encourage you, anybody here, do the person a day challenge. Just talk to one new person every day. It doesn't have to be somebody that is unfamiliar to you. I would actually advocate that it should be somebody familiar to you. Somebody familiar to you. Okay. So I think it was a hit last week that we had somebody's LinkedIn profile reviewed. So I think I'm going to pick somebody at random and do a profile review of theirs. Let me see who I got here. Let's see. Well, Terry's been really helpful. Why don't we do Terry's profile? Would you be up to that, Terry? Maybe I'll do Terry's profile here. Let me get over there. Hopefully he's okay with that. If you're not, Terry, I apologize in advance. Okay, let's go over to Terry's profile. Let me close out this window. It's driving me bonkers. Oh, there it is. Closed. No wonder. Firefox. Sheesh. No, I'm going to do Terry. Sorry. Apologize for that. Okay. We're going to do Terry. Terry's been a good advocate here, and maybe we just need to pay it forward with Terry. What do you think? I think that's valid. So let's do that, shall we? I'll go back to sharing my screen. Hopefully this works again. Let me make sure I get this right. Turn that on. Go to this. Nope, it's the other way around. That one. Okay. All right, Terry Smith. Change management, human resources, OD, talent management. So first of all, I think the profile intro section is actually fairly good. However, it can always be better. What does that mean? Well, when I look at the background image, it's not the full size and quality I would expect on LinkedIn. This can take a high-res image, I think up to 8 megabytes. That means this one here is probably, a banner image, maybe 200 by 800 pixels, maybe 30K, right? You can put a megabyte plus file up there. So I would get something more high res. I do like this photo of Portland. It kind of demonstrates your connection to the city and urban environment. So that to me is compelling if that's part of your brand. Just make sure the background image is part of your brand right here, okay? Now, in terms of this profile image, it's not bad, okay? But it's not great. I would prefer to see something where there isn't somebody following you in the background with a shadow, or that you're up against some background that is synonymous with your skin color. Now, I'm not going to be racist or anything, but if I'm white and I have white hair or perhaps little hair, I'm not going to be against a white background. So for you, even though you can see here I have a black background, I would probably do something contrasting. And since you've shown an outdoor picture, it probably would be okay to do an outdoor photo, okay? I think the dress is good. It looks very approachable. You're smiling with teeth. Otherwise, the photo is actually really good. It doesn't look absolutely professional, okay? So think more professional there, especially if you're talking leadership level roles in change management, human resources, OD, talent management. Now, the challenge I have with your headline specifically, Terry, is the fact that you're using slashes here. Slashes, for whatever reason, when you type in keywords, is going to mess it all up. Okay, so I would actually separate those out. And LinkedIn actually expanded this section, so you get more than the 120 characters you had before. They actually almost doubled it. You get 220 characters now. That means you can actually share some of your brand. What would I start with here? I'd probably start with a title. I always suggest people start with a title. Why? Because if you look down the also viewed, here's why. When you look down the also viewed, all you see is a truncated list of things, right? Business professional with senior partner support, ... right? It's truncated. Okay, so what I always recommend is start with whatever title you think you most directly extrapolate to. VPHR, CHRO, director or executive of such, right? So whatever that is, start with a title, and then I would separate these with either, a space and then a slash, or a space and a pipe. The pipe being the key that's above your enter key. It's straight up and down. That's perfectly fine. Okay, you got 500 plus connections. That's great. And the link is turned on. That's what I advocate. You want people to reach out to you and to find you through your connections. So you might as well have that turned on, and vice versa. Okay, good. I'm not going to click on your contact info, but if I did, hopefully your email is there and your cell phone number or something reasonably similar to that, like a Google Voice number if you want that additional layer of privacy. I have my Google Voice number and it works out great. Okay. Highlights. You have highlights, which is great. Let me see here. And you have activities. So that's good. About section. Too short. Too short. So for somebody in your position, Terry, this should probably be much longer and have a lot more white space. So make it a little more easy to consume. Shorter sentences. You can do lists of keywords or strengths. You could highlight some of your biggest projects. And yes, that'll be redundant from your experience, but I know you've done some pretty stellar projects. I'd want to have some of that up here. And I would look at this first paragraph as an opportunity to introduce yourself. Okay. And I think this is good in terms of a brand, but imagine that a hiring manager is standing in front of you, maybe a CEO. What would you say to them? Hi, my name is Terry. You probably do an I am statement or I something. Okay. So think about the stuff we talked about last week, add a whole bunch of things here that relates to that. Featured section, you have one. That's great. Business leaders, 7 old. So I think what's interesting is you've written things here, but you're sharing first. So I might reorder these and make sure the ones that you're starting with here, and you've only got 3, you could add more for sure. But anything that you've done that relates to your target audience and what's happening current in the marketplace, I'd have it front and center, first place. Okay. Activity. Let's see what we got here. There's that hiring frame. I just saw it. Oh, there we are. Let me click that out of there. So you posted a day ago. Before that, 6 days ago. Before that, 2 weeks ago. Before that, 2 weeks. 1 month. So I think the cadence needs to be a little more regular. So my advocacy for you, Terry, is I'd probably be posting, I don't know, once or twice a day, something in the morning, something in the afternoon, so that you can have more breadcrumbs on the platform. Specifically, if you maybe just share somebody else's stuff. So if I see here, hey, Blake, thank you for asking. Maybe somebody in your network posted a position, just share it out to your network. These are simple things to do. Okay. Good. And this is good. I would actually, you get 8 lines of text here by default before you click the see more, and down here you get 4. So what I would suggest is I'd have some good accomplishments here. I'm not seeing many accomplishments. You're not required to put in months. So if you want to show that as 2019 to 2020, that's fine. I think what this is stating that, hey, if you do that, some people have a better idea that, it's still 2020, at least for another 60 days. So something to think about there. And I'm sure in your tenure, 9 years at at NWEA, that you have some pretty solid accomplishments. What I don't see is any of those. I see some accomplishments, but they're kind of bundled together. I would make sure that that solid accomplishment is right at the top. Okay. Not the first thing, right? But you could keep something a little more abbreviated here. That is what, probably 30 words of text. I'd maybe cut that down by half and get this accomplishment with a bullet in front of it. Okay. 2 years. Let's see more. I don't see any accomplishments here. I'd like to see your accomplishments, Terry. Okay. And you don't have to go back to the 90s. I would probably pull some of these big names like Hitachi and Welch Allen into your about section and take the rest of them out. Okay. I would make sure you spell out Master of Science here in your education. Not that it's good or bad. I would have Bachelor spelled out for whatever reason. So Board of Directors. And then, so the nice thing about volunteer experience is that you don't have to show the dates. So if you're no longer involved with that, people will be tempted to ask, why aren't you doing that anymore? So if this is something you think is relevant to you in your marketplace and your future, then I would have something else here. Or I would really extrapolate that to what you think you're providing in the marketplace. Okay. So now by looking at this list, my assumption is you haven't ever changed the order of it because it's in disorder based on your endorsements. I would actually go through and make sure that these are the skills you want to be known for at the top. And that if there are any that need changing, in fact, you have a pretty abbreviated list. I think you probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 25, 30 skills on your profile. I'd probably add more. Just make sure that there's ones on here that you want to be known for. And then go back to that LinkedIn thing and make sure you haven't missed any of the skills that they find valuable because people will start looking for them. That it's a validation tool with LinkedIn, right? You're getting validated by your information. Good. I like this, Terry, because I believe you're a giver. So I would actually give more. It's good now, right? And this one came in 2019, the ones you received. But I would be giving more. I would look for people that I could give to. Now, the challenge is when I go between the two, Rob is on both of these. So I can see it's kind of like a quid pro quo. So give some more. I know your character, give more. Now, I don't see an accomplishments section here. And I know you have accomplishments. What that would provide you is an opportunity to share some of your change management projects in more detail. Tag the people you did the projects with that were more recent. And then let's see how you did on your additionals, companies. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Yep, you've got the 50 companies. You're good there. Follow the companies you're interested in. So good job on that one. 5, 10, 15, 20. So you're in about 20, 25 groups. So I would maybe join a handful more groups around your domain if there are any. And then I'd identify somewhere in this list which ones you want to participate in actively and do so. Actively participate in those lists. And I would actually overlay that with the target companies you're interested in and the hiring managers at those companies to make sure you have maybe a captive audience, a micro community that you could leverage that way. So that'd be my suggestion. So accomplishments, what goes into that? Well, I'll show you. Accomplishments is a large volume of different sections you can add to your profile without adding sections to your profile. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, under accomplishments here, I can add publications. I don't know if you're published, Terry, but you could find out. You could let me know. I'm sure there's things that you've written in the marketplace for other people. Patents, I don't know where you land there. Courses, I'm sure you've taken some professional development courses, or maybe even taught courses. Maybe you put that under your, where would you put that? That's a good one. Maybe that was a project. If you taught a course, that would probably be a project. But there is a section called projects, and it's pretty flexible. Honors and awards, I'm sure you got some of those, Terry. And then your professional organizations, whether that's, SHRM, PERMA, any of the, what is it, ATD, that sort of thing. If you're in any of those organizations or have been, the nice thing is I don't think you have to put dates. So when I click on organizations here, I don't have to put any dates. It's optional. Okay. So I get the value of having it on my profile without saying that I'm actually an active member. I know that's problematic, but it is what it is. So let me stop my screen share. Hopefully, Terry, you found that helpful. I like giving back to people. And so hopefully you appreciate that. It's just free gift to you. So let me see if there's any, not me again. If we are looking, okay, question in the chat from Mike. If we are looking to jump careers and functions, do you suggest we put our desired title at the beginning of our headline? Yes, absolutely. Now that doesn't, so let me be clear there. There's a different way you can do that without saying the actual title. You could say such and such leader or such and such executive, and that's perfectly valid. Just as long as you have some sort of domain and level right at the front, okay? Because it gets truncated and people want to know, okay? Good question though. But so the other part of this, folks, is recognize the value of LinkedIn. It's not the profile page. The profile page is only used as a, how would you say it, a litmus test or a barometer of whether or not someone will accept or not a connection request from you. And then on top of that, whether or not they would say yes to a conversation. So keep that in mind as you go through your process, okay? Let's see. Are dates required in the accomplishments section? No, they're not. So you could add accomplishments there without adding dates. Although I think that might be based on the different things you're adding. So I'm not sure about projects. I don't think projects would make you do that. I'll go back and look while I'm waiting. Put any other questions you have in the chat. If you want to come on live, I'm only going to be here a couple more minutes. Just click the link in the description and you can come on live right now and have a conversation with me. In the meantime, I'm going to see if there's anything under accomplishments that would require dates. Let me see here. Let's look at projects. No, projects optional. Discard. Let's look at the rest. Publications. Nope, optional. Yeah, so it looks like most everything in the accomplishments section, dates are optional. Volunteer experience, dates are optional. Licenses, certifications, dates are optional. So you don't need to have that for all of the stuff that you're doing. So keep that in mind. Well, maybe Terry popped out. Maybe maybe he wasn't here. I don't know. So let's see. Do we want to have only recruiter selection checked? And if not, how do I get it? I don't know what you mean by that. But if you go into the nice thing about LinkedIn Help, it's actually helpful. If you have a question about open to opportunities or open to work, and should I have that photo frame on my profile or not, or how does that look, or should I take it off? No, you should make it open to recruiters, not open to all LinkedIn members. Okay, that's the difference. And you can find that information very easily in the LinkedIn Help section, which is actually helpful. Believe it or not. Hashtag open to work. Let me see what it like. Open to work. I'll even put the link for you in the chat to show you how easy this is to understand. Now, if you have it on your profile, just change it from all LinkedIn members, the privacy at the bottom of the dialog box, and that will move it out. Okay. Now let's go over here. I think I have to go back here and then over here. You're welcome, Kevin. Appreciate you. LinkedIn Help section. It's actually helpful, folks. Get in there. Get in there. Get in the LinkedIn Help section. Check it out. If you have questions about LinkedIn or any of the details on how to use it, the help section is actually, folks, very, very helpful. I'll add it to the chat here. There we go. It's in the chat there, and now it's in the chat there. Good. All right. I don't have anything else. I don't see any other questions. Nobody's in the waiting room. I love our brave volunteer earlier. Everybody connect, cross-pollinate. Leave your LinkedIn profile in the chat, and maybe we'll see you next Career Happy Hour. Be safe, everybody. Vote if you vote in the United States, at least. I really encourage you to vote. Stay safe, stay sane, help your fellow person, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.